Alrighty, today we're going to be talking about my Europe impulse factors in our 3:45 cold calling webinar today. It's especially for coaches and consultants. Now, before I go ahead and explain this, I just want to explain that when I say solution selling versus spruiking, I've identified two different types of selling. If you're selling something transactionally and you want the deal now, I call that spruiking. If it's, detailed, for example, e-commerce solution, and it's going to take many visits and it's, $100,000, you're selling that person a solution, and that's going to take a different style of selling and a slightly different approach. There are some commonalities, but there are some key differences here as well. So, all that being said, let's continue with the Europe impulse factors, which we'll be going into in detail today, especially how to implement them. Okay, number one, everyone's doing it. The Jones theory, also known as social proof. This is a huge factor in people buying. Yes, there's been a lot of media on it, and a lot of training and material has been released on this subject, but it's important and it's worth covering. Everybody's doing it. It's the Jones theory. It's if you walk past a restaurant and you see there's heaps of people in the window all having a great time, that makes you think that this is going to be good because everybody else is doing it, and fair enough too. There's a lot of validity in the Jones theory. Urgency. If they sense a genuine urgency, they're more likely to act urgently. This is more applicable to spruiking than it is to long-term solution selling, but still somewhat applicable to both. There's got to be some urgency. Real benefit. So a benefit that actually appeals to their personality and their requirements. So for example, if they're going to save money, but they're not really that concerned about saving money and they keep telling you money's not an issue, don't keep flogging that. Again, we'll be talking about how to implement this in our cold calling session today at 3:45. Obliviousness. You need to be utterly indifferent to whether or not the person buys. What's the opposite of obliviousness? It's desperation. Nobody wants to buy from somebody who's desperate. Why would you? If they're desperate, what they're selling is probably a bucket of shit. Let's face it. You need to be utterly indifferent. Nobody wants to buy from a desperate person, and subtle indifference makes people keener. You don't ring up a person and say, "Oh, hey, how you going? Look, I don't care if you buy this or not, but blah, blah, blah." Obviously, you've got to have a casual sort of subtle indifference about, and there's probably got to be a genuineness to it. And with a good salesperson, that will come across naturally. We'll talk about that more, especially today in our cold calling webinar. Okay, proof. Show evidence that what you've got works. In this day and age, there are so many lofty claims. Back them up, especially in solution selling. Expectation of loss. If I don't buy this now, it won't be available at the same price later. Now, I sell databases, and there is a genuine sense of urgency that I create, and I'll be explaining that to the participants today a bit more. But fear of loss, it's so easy to say, "Hi, if you don't buy now, you're going to miss out. Have I got a deal for you?" Yeah, cheesy as crap. There's got to be, you've got to create a genuine reason, and look, a genuineness as to why a real sort of fear of loss, a real expectation of loss. So there are my Europe impulse factors. If you want to know a bit more about how to get the kind of results I get when cold calling, all my business is cold calling. If you want to know how to get the same results, inbox me now and we'll talk today about you jumping on board for the 3:45 today, or we've got a 3 p.m. Next Monday cold calling webinar, especially for coaches and consultants. Now, if you're not in that space, don't worry. We're going to create another group for professional services and for products, consumer products as well, for sales training. But in terms of cold calling, let me know if you want to jump on board. Only for coaches and consultants at this stage. Again, if you've got another thing that you want to do, let me know. We'll talk about it and we'll create another session. All right. Love your work, Linkies. Mwah. Hopefully I'll see you today at 3:45. We've got 2 spots left. Thank you very much.